This week's content will focus on the digital audio workstation. This week we will focus on defining what a digital audio workstation is and what it is useful for. We will focus on the essential terminology associated with the digital audio workstation and talk about its functions. And we will discuss the types of digital audio workstations and their strengths and weaknesses. The digital audio workstation is at the core of digital music making. We need to be aware of their basic properties and become familiar with what they do. The computer is at the core of any digital audio studio setup. We use a computer program called a digital audio workstation to facilitate the process of recording, editing, and compiling audio files for the sake of audio production and distribution. The digital audio workstation, or DAW, is an essential tool for today's musician. Luckily, these days there are many options in the current marketplace at a variety of price points. This module will discuss the general characteristics of a DAW, some major products available, and their strengths and weaknesses. All digital audio workstations, regardless of price, generally focus on four major functions. First, audio recording and editing. A digital audio workstation is designed to record audio to a track or to import audio to a track. It then allows us to perform basic tape editing techniques such as cut, copy, and paste audio regions, the manipulation of pitch and time, the reversal of audio, and other essential functions. It also allows us to perform MIDI sequencing and sampling techniques. This is the control of software synthesizers or outboard synthesizers with MIDI data. We will discuss this function in greater detail in Module 3. The DAW is also useful for the application of audio effects and for digital signal processing. We apply effects to any track to enhance its audio in some way. We also use a DAW for mastering and distribution of audio files. This involves exporting or bouncing or rendering audio files to create a universal audio file that incorporates all the audio edits and processes included in the project file. Many digital audio workstations these days can also incorporate video files as well for the sake of creating multimedia projects. We, however, will focus on the audio recording, editing, effects, and mastering processes of the DAW in this module. Every digital audio workstation also has basic parts to the graphical user interface. We must be familiar with the following important parts of any DAW, regardless of brand: the audio settings or the I/O settings, the timeline, the automation view, transport controls, the media library and the loops library, the menu that contains effects and plugins, the audio editor, the plugin controls, the mixer, and the bounce or render dialog. All of these functions might be in different places from brand to brand, but every digital audio workstation generally has these basic parts. Some digital audio workstations maybe do not include a loops library, or some may not include a lot of plugin controls, but they all allow us to do these basic functions. In the realm of digital audio, we must work with many different types of files. Digital audio workstations have the ability to deal with multiple audio and media file types within an individual project. We may either import or copy a file into the project or record new audio into a track. Either process results in a file which a DAW file points to. These audio files are often copied into a project folder. The project folder is associated with the particular program file and houses multiple types of media files that have been recorded or imported. It is important to recognize that a digital audio workstation's project folder points to multiple media types. Often there is a folder within the projects folder of media or audio. These files, housed in a project folder, can be found in the media browser within the DAW. It's also the window in a DAW that allows us to see the files that are recorded or imported. Any file that is incorporated into the DAW timeline is seen on screen as an audio region or a clip. This audio region points to the audio file in the project folder. When we export or bounce audio from a DAW, the DAW program reads all of the edits and other data in the timeline and then bounces or prints these decisions to a universal combined stereo audio file. All DAWs do this, but some of them call this function different things. For instance, Ableton calls this function rendering, Logic calls this bouncing. Most actually call it bouncing, but you will find that function somewhere in the DAW that gives you the ability to take all of your edits in the timeline and print them to one unified audio file. Digital Audio Workstations allows the user to import audio files of different types and to work with clips in a timeline. Each region or clip points to a digital file on the disk in the project folder. Copying or pasting or otherwise moving the region in the timeline of a DAW or from the track to the track doesn't necessarily alter the original file it refers to. For instance, we can trim the end of a file, or we can split the file in the middle in the region, but that doesn't necessarily create new files in the project folder. If that's the case, this is called non-destructive editing. This means that the original audio file associated with the region is not altered in any way. Some processes in a DAW actually do alter the audio file in some way or copy it. This is called destructive editing, meaning that we are actually changing the audio file in the projects folder in some capacity. The audio process involves changing the actual audio file on disk in this way. Often, the DAW will create a copy of the original file as to not overwrite the original audio. As you can imagine, this may result in some larger project folders that contain multiple generations of audio files. This is important to note in terms of storage and capacity. Another element of the digital realm to be aware of is the concept of pitch and time. In the analog realm, pitch and time are connected. This means that when working with analog media types such as tapes and records, when we slow down the playback or alter the time, the recording also drops in pitch. When we speed up a record, the pitch goes up. This is also a function of tapes. So if you play a tape back at a higher speed, you get a higher pitch. And if you play it tape back at a lower speed, you get a lower pitch. Pitch and time are always connected in the analog realm. We can hear this property at work very easily when we slow down or speed up a record player as it plays. If we unplug the power or turn off the power to a record player when it's playing, you will hear it slow down and gradually go to a stop, right? And the pitch drops with it. Because of the digital nature of the audio file as being a series of digits and numbers, in the digital realm, we can separate the concepts of pitch and time. This unique ability is only found in the digital realm and in digital audio workstations or in digital audio applications. This means that when working with digital audio, we can work with pitch and time individually. Because the audio recording has been sampled in the ADC, we are working with data points in a file. This gives us lots of flexibility. We can stretch the duration of time in a digital audio file without changing the pitch. We can also raise and lower the pitch of a digital audio file without changing the duration. This unique ability is special to digital audio workstations and is manifest in what is widely known as autotune. Autotune is the ability to change the pitch of a digital recording or playback so that it adheres to a particular musical scale or chord without altering the duration. Autotune is sometimes used egregiously to create a certain kind of audio effect, or sometimes it's used subtly to nudge a person's performance, so usually vocals, into the scale or chord of the key, or to quote unquote fix a performance. However, we can also use this function, or at least the stretching and the pitch and time functions of a DAW, to create very interesting textures. There are many types of DAWs out there, ranging in price from free to hundreds and hundreds of dollars. With any DAW, you typically get what you pay for, but we can kind of categorize these DAWs into very general categories. And I'm sure there will be some disagreement about what these categories entail, but I can understandably categorize or group some of these into certain groups because that's primarily what they do. Inexpensive free or open source options for digital audio workstations include Audacity, Reaper, Ardor, Studio One Prime, GarageBand if you own a Macintosh product, and Mixcraft. These options are generally either coming with the computer when you purchase it or not expensive to purchase or to download. Some of these are more complex than others. For instance, Audacity is a very useful but very slim version of a DAW. GarageBand has lots of functions, but it only comes with Apple. Reaper is becoming as close to an industry standard as one can get at a low cost point. It's free to try, but it does include a cost of around $100 to purchase, I believe. We have loop-oriented or live performance-oriented digital audio workstations such as Ableton Live or FL Studio. And these products, although not free, are based around live performance and working with loops, much like a DJ or doing live signal processing or setting up a session for live improvisation. This third category of industry standards, which require purchase or subscriptions, includes Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase, and Digital Performer. Pro Tools is widely known as the industry standard for recording studios. It is an excellent recording and editing software. However, it does not include a lot of loops, or it isn't necessarily focused on loop-oriented or live performance scenarios. Apple's Logic is also a very powerful digital audio workstation. It costs a few $100s and also requires a Macintosh computer. Cubase and Digital Performer are not as widely industry standard, but they are also very powerful. There are many more out there. Every digital audio workstation product has their strengths and weaknesses, which distinguish them in the marketplace. As users, we have the option to decide on what we'd like to work with and how. We have to think about our budgets and our aesthetic principles that we'd like to adhere to when thinking about or shopping for a digital audio workstation.